Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's PreMarket Prep with your host, Joel Elonin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day. Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to PreMarket Prep. Spencer Israel, Joel Elconin, Dennis Dick with you on this lovely morning. We got a lot to talk about. As always, we're going to talk about video game stocks. We're going to talk about AMC. We'll see how far that gets us. We have a new guest on the show today. I am very excited because we were having a great conversation last week about the video game sector. And so I reached out to this person, JP Lee. He is a product manager at VanEck. He's one of the people behind their ESPO ETF. And I basically said, hey, JP, what's going on with video game stocks? Come on and talk about it. So that's what he's going to do at 8:35 today. So very excited for that. He's got some really good analysis and thoughts on that space. As always, smash the like button, hit subscribe, do all that good stuff. And let's bring it to Joel now and bring up his charts and find out how we're doing this morning.
Very, very quiet out there.
Taking it back to the 1950s with Elmer Fudd. I even knew who that was.
We all knew who that was.
No, I don't. Do they play the Looney? I don't think the Looney Tunes are politically
They probably
correct
can't.
anymore. They don't even play that stuff anymore.
Yeah, because it's probably not socially acceptable.
No, it's not socially accepted anymore. Bugs Bunny is evil.
Okay.
What do you mean? Space Jam is out in the theaters right now. That's a Looney Tunes movie.
Is Bugs Bunny been taken out of it?
No.
Okay.
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Roadrunner, though? I mean, I don't think they do Roadrunner anymore.
Well, they're too violent. I was taking out the violence. You know, we can have video games, you know, like...
blow people up.
Yeah, blow people away, but we can't have the, the Wile E. Coyote getting hit with rocks and stuff because it makes it kids. But anyways, we went on a bad tangent.
Both you need to get off my lawn. Let's go back to the charts.
Okay. On the downside, intraday low from yesterday. Also, Friday's low. Boom, 44.16. That's all I'm going to give you. That's it on the downside. Then double top on the upside. That's it. That's all you got to look at. Chop in between. Let's see if we can break out or break down. Most likely, we'll break out. Crude up $1.53 or $1.15 after that shellacking yesterday. 67.63. Gold goes down $100 in 2 days, up $7.20 today. Whoopee at $733.80. Silver back in the 23 handle. That's up 16.6 cents at 23.43.5. Bitcoin just about. I got half of that move back, at least according to my charts. Now pulling back just a tad, down $735 at 45.290. And Ethereum, who led the way up, holding up on the way down $30.25 at 31.27 and a quarter.
Okay, so let's talk about this. Did any of you, besides me, watch the AMC or listen to the AMC earnings call last night? Because we streamed it here on our channel, and it was a marathon. You know, some of these earnings calls are like a half hour. GameStop didn't take any questions, so theirs was like 15 minutes, right? This one went over an hour.
Wow.
It was like an hour and 15 minutes, and it had like a solid half hour. Wait, this was funny. They did like a half hour of Q&A, right? But the Q&A was all from like retail investors, and they let one analyst ask a question at the end from some guy from Oppenheimer.
They don't want the analyst.
He got one question. The very last thing, they're like,
what was the analyst question?
Okay, I don't even remember. They're like, all right, we have time for one question. We're going to go to so-and-so Oppenheimer.
Yeah, they don't like analysts. All the analysts have $2 price targets on the stock, so they don't like any of the analysts. So they want to hear it to the moon.
It's very funny. Anyway, AMC, to the extent that the numbers matter, the numbers were better than the low bar. They beat estimates on the top and the bottom line. What jumped out to me, 22 million people attended AMC theaters in the first quarter. How does that compare to 2 years ago? Pre-COVID, Q2 19, they had 97 million people. So there's still a long way to
like
go.
Sounds like a stock that should be trading at an all-time high, doesn't it?
a long way to go to get back to pre-COVID attendance levels, but the call was chock full of news. They talked about how they're buying more theaters than they previously announced. They're actually opening more theaters this year, so they're expanding that footprint, which is an interesting decision. They're going to accept Bitcoin by the end of the year for online transactions in the U.S. only. They're trying to get with sports leagues about sports rights that they can, broadcast in the theaters, which sounds like a pretty good idea. Actually, he called that the Holy Grail. They talked about they teased a hypothetical partnership with GameStop, but they said later on that they hadn't actually reached out to GameStop yet, but they will. Anyway, it was
somebody suggested that on Twitter, so they're like, "Oh yeah, there's a great idea."
What did they
Let's
suggest?
team up.
Yes,
I've been people on Twitter have been saying AMC and GameStop should merge. I've been
Yes.
seeing that on my Twitter timeline. It's amazing that the CEO or the company actually addresses that. So, oh yeah, maybe that's a good idea. Maybe we'll reach out to GameStop or put our two ridiculously valued companies together.
Look, I give the people in AMC credit because they have leaned in super hard to the virality of their stock, as opposed to GameStop, who's gone the other way and gone dead silent the entire time. So I appreciate the fact that AMC is leaning into this and embracing it. And yeah, there was a lot of news. The Bitcoin news was big. Oh, and the last thing I forgot was, if you remember last year, there was the whole kerfuffle with AMC and Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers was like, okay, screw the theaters. We're going to abandon that exclusivity window, and we're going to bring all of our movies to our streaming platform, HBO Max, at the same time that they go into the theaters, which is obviously bad for AMC. It was announced on the call last night that they now have a new deal with the Warner Brothers, so they've gotten a 45-day exclusivity window back there. So it's just like it always was now. It's back to normal, where a movie premieres in the theaters for a certain amount of time, then it goes everywhere else after that. So that was the big news. It was the Warner Brothers, it was the Bitcoin, and teasing maybe getting with sports leagues down.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm gonna take the other side of that coin. I mean, we've had pay-per-view, and one of the greatest pay-per-views I ever saw was Hagler Hearns, right? That back in the day at the Michigan Theater.
Yeah.
But this is the way sports is going. Okay?
Tell me.
You're gonna be watching sports on Facebook or Zoom. Okay, with your Oculus goggles or whatever they're called. Okay, and you're going to have 50-yard line seats for $5, and you're going to be sitting there, right? And that is the way sports is going.
It will eventually get there.
Concert,
it's going to be. You're going to feel like you're in the stadium, like the virtual ticket. Where I'm totally on board with that too. The virtual ticket. I don't know how to win to sports from AMC, but I guess AMC is not getting these sporting events. But
wait, hold on. Can I bring on Randy because Randy said he watched a UFC fight at an AMC theater, and it was like the best thing he's ever done.
Okay, let's
Randy, what's up, man?
Hey, how's it going?
So you said last night you watched a UFC fight at an AMC, and it was like amazing.
Yeah, it was just like a whole nother level. Like everyone was there for the fight. Everyone was wild, going crazy. It was loud in
like
there.
A huge movie theater screen, right?
The whole screen. Yeah. They just
it
was actually like not bad. I think they only charged like a movie ticket price. And
okay. So Joel, I think you underestimate how much fun this is going to be if it ever happens.
It was a great time. I would definitely go back for sure.
Okay.
Fans like to be with other fans. I mean, and if you're not going to the actual sporting event, would you go to AMC theaters and watch it? Maybe. But I think Joe makes a good point too, is you're going to eventually, with this virtual world that we are going into, and the metaverse, or talk about whatever else, but I mean, you can see the applications to sports. You can see the applications that, you're sitting in your living room and the whole arena is around you. You could see that eventually happening. But we're ways out here. Taking it back to AMC.
Yeah, technical.
None of this matters. Nothing they said on the call matters. The thing's trading, whatever. Nothing matters. Fundamentals are meaningless on this company. It's all story. It's owned 80% by retail investors, apparently. I don't know if I don't know if any. Well, I guess some penny stocks and stuff might be owned 80%, but there's not a lot of stocks that are 80% owned by retail investors directly. So usually they're not, stocks that are making new highs, but it can go anywhere. If the story gets hot again, it could start to take off. The story goes cold, it could start to go back down. So, You can't trade this on fundamentals. You can't. I listened 0 seconds to that earnings call. Why? Because none of it mattered. So I'm going to listen to news that is actually going to affect price, where this is just going to go wherever the hell it wants to go. Random walk theory all over the place on AMC, disconnected from all reality. So there's no information that I can extract from a conference call that's actionable trading idea. And that's why I give it 0 seconds. And that's why when I try to analyze it, you can analyze this technically, and Joel's going to analyze it technically in 1 second, and that's all that matters. So give it to us, Joel.
I'll give you the after hours high, which is always a big target because you know the initial euphoria took it to 38.24, and now it's just people are short-term traders are locking in some profits that just happen to dip in the last 3 or 4 days. So very important to take out the pre-market high of 38.14. This 40 area, I'm going to go wide here just because this is a crazy stock, but I think you got the 30 to 40 grind coming up.
Yeah,
and then if you can bust above 40, catch a bid, boom, then maybe you'll go to 50. If you lose that 30, then you'll just grind your way to 20. So of course you don't want to see it go red after being up $2.03. So I'm just going wide on that. If you got it, first target would be 38.24, and then $40 is important. That's really all the that's all the real technicals I can give you on that.
Let's move on from AMC and get to something that fundamentally does make sense. I want to go to Fisker. They are getting a rating from Morgan Stanley.
Wow.
And it's a big one. They put a price target on this of $40, and they put their bull scenario at 90. And you know what? I've loved the Fisker story. I don't own the shares. I've been in and out of it, I think a half dozen times in my swing trade account. I wanted to keep it longer term, and for whatever reason the market scared me and I sell it again. It's been good for me. It's been good trading for me as a swing trade too. I've had some really good hits on this. I would love to get the stock back. I probably should have bought it in the last couple of days. I was thinking about it in the 15 area. It actually went to 14 yesterday, so I wish I would have looked at it. I think you buy and pullbacks on Fisker. I think FSR is actually for real. I think they've got the cars. This isn't like Concept. They have, the Magna deal. They have cars. You will see Fiskers on the road at the end of 2022. In a year, you're going to start to see Fiskers start to pop up. Year and a half, Fiskers are going to be on the road. And they're way ahead of, a lot of other, they're not Tesla, but, the valuation is just a fraction of that. So could they eventually, start to, catch on the Fiskers? I think they're pretty cool cars. I think the name is good. I think they've got relationships. I'm with Morgan Stanley here. I think Fisker could be a $40 stock. I don't know about 90 anytime soon, but I'd be a buyer of pullbacks on FSR. I don't own it. I want to own it.
Is it Adam Jonas that did this?
No, who's the analyst from MS?
Oh, it's Morgan Stanley. Let me see if we have it in the Pro. We might have it.
Pro probably have it. He'll hunt it down. I don't think it's not Jonas.
Not it.
I'll tell you what, I'm even thinking about buying one of these, Dennis. Reason why is the price.
The actual car or the stock?
The car, the Ocean, the Fisker Ocean.
It looks
reason
cool.
why.
Yeah.
One thing is, we have the federal credit still,
I
right? That's
this is Jonas.
7,500.
This is Jonas.
Is it Jonas?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Joel, take a bow.
Because the old
Mitch, finish your shot.
No, but definitely, I'm going to be looking at it just because also the federal credits. I can get 7,500 from the feds. I can get 2,500 from the state of Colorado. So I can get $10,000 off the sticker price.
Why not a Tesla? Why a Fisker, not a Tesla?
Well, biggest thing is the price point, right? To me, I think price points are very important. If we look at a cheap Tesla, I feel like I'm literally getting the cheap of the cheap. Like literally, like they're just going to give me some plastic and put it together and call it a Tesla. But Fisker is literally focusing on a price point that I think is more in the consumer's realm at $34,000. I think definitely that's a car that the average consumer can buy.
I think Fisker is going to be big eventually. I really do. I said this in the show for the last year. I've been in and out of it because when it got just silly town, you got to ring the register sometimes. When stock goes from 15 to 30 and doubles itself in a week and a half, you've got to ring the register on some of it. We've seen these explosions in price in FSR. and I'm usually selling into those explosions. And the problem is, you got to think about it and buy it back. And I have bought it back a couple times. I need to get the stock back though. And Morgan Stanley with a good reminder that what, this Fisker isn't a concept. There's so many EV concepts out there that you get lost in it all. But Fisker is beyond that. It's a $4 billion company. I guess with the pop today, it's going to be closer to $5 billion. But when you put it all together, you think, okay, there's Tesla. We'll talk fundamentals here for a second that actually matter. But Tesla is $692 billion company. Fisker is 5. So you're talking about less than 1% of the market cap of Tesla, less than 1%, like 0.7% of the market cap. So, is Tesla 125 times, going to be bigger than Fisker, or is Fisker going to be? Does Fisker have a little bit of that gap to eventually fill? Could you see Fisker as a $20 billion company eventually if they're starting to pop up on the roads and you start to see the cars? I think so.
Are they out there now?
$5 billion, that's 4 times your money. So, I mean, it's not unimaginable to get to a $40 price target on this, and it's not unimaginable to even get to a $90 price target on this. It's a matter of how much the cars catch on. But I'll tell you, Henrik Fisker is smart. Like, I've watched a lot of his stuff. He's smart. He's not Elon Musk, but he's smart. I would bet some money on that guy, and that's where I'm going to eventually rebuy my Fisker.
You spiked up a few times to the 1770 area, and you backed off, but you haven't backed off a lot. So I'm not going to be a fader here. I think you still perhaps have some room on the upside today.
I would not short this stock.
I would not. No, because Adam's had some big moves. As long as you hold 17.25, I know I'm going kind of tight here, but that was an area 3 highs back in July. So if it holds that, your next test would be closer to 18 at 17.94. So that's what it's up near the high and it's bid. If it's one of those scenarios where they shut, it opens 17.30. And then you're under 17 in a heartbeat, then you're going to have a chance. I don't think you'll get at the top of yesterday's range. That's way down at 1507, but up near the highs. Let's see if we can get follow through the pre-market high. And so they're out. Someone said they're out in 22. Is that correct?
2022 is the projection.
Yeah, their production will be next year.
Who is Tesla the one that's leading as far as developing charging stations and extension cords? Everyone's doing that.
Charge
like 60 companies.
ChargePoint and Blink are probably the big two.
Why are gas stations opening up now in our area, Spencer? Why would you just? Who has the hybrid gas electric charging station? That's what I'm buying.
Well, they all are going to have it. All your gas stations.
Is that QuantumScape? Are they who's big in?
Well.
There's some SPACs that came out that are big into the charging, right? Was it QuantumScape, and then
Blink and ChargePoint? I think
there's a pile of them.
Well, yeah,
there's like 2 or 3 big ones, and then there's probably a dozen public ones, and then there's probably a pile of them.
Oh yeah,
this is a whole industry.
Yeah,
which is the best one, Dennis? Which is the best one?
You don't know.
I don't know any. I can't tell you any of that part. I'm wasting my time researching that. So, you can think of the ones that you trade, like the charge points, like, Spencer says, but who knows who the leader in that's going to be. But, Fisker obviously will need charging stations. The infrastructure is going to be there. We're going EV. You don't have to worry that, I'm going to buy an electric vehicle and, where am I going to charge it? In 2 to 3 years, you won't have to worry about that. There's going to be charge stations everywhere. I mean, I see Tesla charge stations popping up all over, but there's going to be different charge stations everywhere. You're not going to have that problem. Like it or not, and we poo-poo a lot of these valuations on a lot of these EV companies because there's just so many of them. But the world is going EV. We're going to all be driving electric cars in 10 years. That's why I don't own any oil companies, because I just don't see the longevity there. And, short term, sure, I'm still filling up my car. It cost me $150 to fill up my pickup the other day.
How often do you fill it up, though? How often do you fill it up?
Well, I don't drive as far, but it depends on how. Some people got to fill them up. You're still people aren't driving as much as they were, and there's a point to be made if a lot of people are working from home. But an EV revolution is not going away. We're going EV. It's a matter of pick the winners. Tesla's obviously going to be one of the winners. We know that. I think Fisker is going to be up there. I do. And that's why when I look at Fisker at a $4 billion valuation, speculative capital only, am I going to go take all my net worth and dump it in Fisker? No. But would I take 1% of my net worth or even 2% of my net worth and dump it in Fisker? Yes. So am I buying it when it's up 15% today? Probably not. I'd probably wait for a pullback into the 16s. But you get these pullbacks, and I don't like chasing stocks, but it's a good reminder from Jonas here today that this Fisker story is actually for real. So you have a lot of concepts, we've got the Nikola and the Lordstown, and they're all eventually maybe going to have vehicles as well. I think with Fisker, I think it's further than that because they have the relationships, the production. I think you're going to start seeing Fiskers on the road if they follow their projections end of 2022, and people will be like, what kind of car is that? Oh, it's a Fisker. Oh, that's pretty cool. If the pricing point is cheaper than Tesla, you'll attract people. And, Mitch made a good point on that too. So I like the Fisker story. A lot of people, dissing me for it in the chat. That's okay. It's a speculative capital. So I think if you're taking a shot, I think Fisker's got a better shot than a lot of these other companies.
And you know what Fisker and Tesla have in common is they're not that new, right? Tesla's been around since 2003, and Fisker there was another Fisker before this Fisker.
Oh, he's been trying. Hendrik's tried a lot of different things.
It's not as if they just it's been around for 2-3 years like some of these other names I won't name, or Nikola, right? But they've been around for a while. This thing takes a decade or more, right, to get good to learn how to do this stuff. So anyway,
people comparing NIO's going to report, so it's actually a good segue. On
NIO.
Wednesday, I believe we're going to hear the NIO report. One thing to consider is always look at market caps and upside. NIO's market cap is $69 billion. So you're talking about a company that's being valued 20 times more than Fisker. So if you buy a share, or maybe not that now because it's come up to 5, but 12 to 13 times the valuation of Fisker. So is that justifiable? If NIO was a $6 billion market cap, I would say, yeah, I would buy NIO. But at $68 billion, now you're putting it, in a market cap above Ford. So you've got to consider, where are you going? $55 billion Ford. Is NIO worth more than Ford in the long run? I don't think so. I wouldn't touch NIO on a fundamental basis. Would I trade it? Trade everything. I'll trade anything and everything, if the chart looks good. But it would be like short-term trading, maybe swing trading. It's never going to enter my long-term portfolio. Fisker has entered my long-term portfolio. It's come out a couple times because it's paid. Like I bought the thing at 13 or 14 and it went to 30. I didn't get the top.
That was SPAC mania.
But when the thing doubles in 2 weeks, you ring the when you're getting gifts from the trading gods, you've got to ring the register sometimes, and take the profits and then re-enter at a better pricing point. When your stock's tripling, quadrupling overnight, and sometimes you regret it and sometimes they keep going, but a lot of times they come back in. That's the name of the game, is to take the profits while you got them, or the market will take them for you.
Just real quick on this NIO, just winding up ahead of the report, 44 to 46, 44 to 46. So if you're trading that ahead of the report, just be aware. And actually, an inside day yesterday, you see the support of 44. They take this thing above 46. Maybe a minor stopping point at 47.38, but that's your setups there. Good support at 44, but just quiet ahead of the report. And I haven't looked at Tesla in a while, and that cleared the 700. Anything going on here?
Bulls in control as long as it's above the low from 2 days ago, 697.
Yeah, I see
so
that.
That is a classic technical little breakout before above 700, held the support. I mean, a lot of textbook technicals happening here. Consolidation station between 700 and 720. It looks like it's trying to get the gas to make the next run for 750. Valuation's crazy. I'm not going to put this in my long-term portfolio, but as a trade, if you were buying it today at 712, I would stop myself out under 697. So I got a 15-point stop. A little bit far. I'd rather get in the lower 700s. 2 days ago would have been clean buy. But I think there's room to 750, so I'm going to stay in the short-term bull camp on Tesla, where I'm still in the long-term, I don't want to own it because I just think valuation's crazy camp. But short-term, I kind of like it. I think there's room to 750.
Yeah, and you got a little gap to fill here. I don't know if that was what the news was on that, if it was an earnings day or whatnot, but the bottom of the gap, and it's not too far away. 732.61. Did we get to there yet? No, it's a little bit higher than that. No, 732.61, and man, you almost filled that thing. Where'd you get to? Oh no, not quite yet. 726.94. That's the high of the move. Let's just call it 700 to 725. That's encompassed your trading ranges for the 1, 2, 4, 6, 8 last sessions in Tesla.
You want to talk about Moderna and
yeah, it's red now. What a wild child! Holy mackerel!
Well, Moderna, we can look at Pfizer together, but the Moderna, yeah, I mean, like Joel mentioned, wow, I'm actually surprised to see it turn around. But every day, I said this yesterday with Joel, every time I think it stopped going up, it proves me wrong yet again. So we almost got to 500 here this morning. And
it's gonna it's crazy the amount of money they make.
Yeah,
I mean, this company, like we talked the bull scenario on it 2-3 days ago, and I said I don't want to chase it, but holy mackerel, I mean, this company is firing on all cylinders. It's like the best of the best. The valuation has gotten, pretty high. I mean, it's trading on the same valuation you were making the point on the pre-market show, Spencer, as Merck.
It's worth more than Merck. Merck is how old is Merck?
Think about the drug. I mean, they've got a drug that they literally are giving to everyone in the world. You think about like when a company creates a new drug, it's not for everybody. They've got a drug that they've created that is for the entire world. And we're going to need boosters, and we're going to need more shots of Moderna. Like if the COVID's not going away, it's going to be like a yearly shot. So they're going to keep getting revenue from this. I mean, and obviously, they've done everything right. Novavax and Moderna started at the same point. Moderna's done everything right, and Novavax has tried, but, they can't even get their drug approved yet. So, I mean, that's why you've seen this complete separation now between Moderna and Novavax, where Moderna has just continued to explode. Wow. Because when you look at it, some analysts are projecting that this is going to make like $25, $30 next year. So when you throw it on a PE, it's like trading 16, 17 times. It's like actually not expensive, which is insane. I don't know if those projections are going to hold. What did they make last quarter? How much money?
Oh, Moderna. I have Pfizer. As far as earnings per share, is that your question?
Yeah. Didn't they make $5 or $6?
Let me look it up.
Moderna, I looked $6.50. I thought they made.
That's about right.
Incredible.
Yeah, I looked at that. I was surprised.
Nobody has benefited more from COVID than Moderna. There's not a single company, not even close. And you know what? They've got the flu shots going. They've got this. It's just firing on all cylinders. I actually love this company. I wish the stock would pull back. When we got back to 200 a few months ago, and this is going back 6 months ago when we were talking, and it looked like we were getting on top of COVID. I thought the Novavax and Moderna, would start to come back in. But what happened was we got new variants. We got, and we obviously we're realizing now that this COVID is probably just not going away. It's probably going to be with us for a long, long time. And it's just going to be a matter of new boosters, new shots. And you just think, okay, this is just revenue they're going to continue to get. If we're going to have to get a COVID shot every year, Moderna is going to continue to get revenue from that. Is there going to be competition for them? There already is, but they seem to be one of the leaders. When I think about, the COVID shot, I think Moderna and Pfizer, BioNTech.
What about Pfizer? Pfizer said in their earnings call that they expect to make $33.5 billion this year just from their COVID shot.
I own Pfizer.
$33.5 billion?
That's what they said.
I own Pfizer. I continue to own Pfizer. I would buy Pfizer on pullbacks as well. It's not like Moderna where it's got the sexy story, though. It's the big pharmaceutical company that is in everything. Where Moderna is the growth story, the massive growth, right? So that's what investors are attracted to. So you're not going to see Pfizer blast off and go up to like $100 a share.
But why not is my question. Because
it's too big.
Too big.
It's a company it's not sexy. The BioNTech, obviously, that's a different story. I mean, we've seen the explosion there too. Even in the last month, the swing went from 200 to 450. I mean, if you're buying them at this point, you're definitely chasing. And I personally am waiting for a pullback on some of these companies. But to go and say Moderna's not worth, what it's trading at, you start doing the math and you're like, you can get to numbers fairly quickly to say it's not crazy. Like we look at AMC and we say, okay, the valuation's crazy. We look at GameStop, we say the valuation's crazy. Look at Moderna and you think it's actually not crazy, which is crazy. That's how this kind of move. It's like we all dropped the ball. Me too. When the stock was $150, because I was foreseeing this delta coming at us full blast ahead, and now foreseeing that we're going to get one of these shots every year. So would have saw this 3 months ago, probably be buying the stock and making a lot of money. So
when did it get added to the S&P? When did it get added to the S&P too?
Month ago?
That was another.
Has it been added officially? Has it been added officially?
Yeah, that happened.
Yeah, it did. I'd be interesting to check the date on that. That's been a huge catalyst. And then I believe it was Friday. This thing caught 2 downgrades, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, this isn't going down. Yeah, this isn't going down.
We said it. If you rewind the show 2 days ago, Joel, I was saying this is the kind of stock I'm like, I don't want to buy this, but I'm also like, I could see like the bull case here. I was like, I kind of want to buy it. Man, I wish I would have.
Yeah. I got approved in Australia yesterday, midday. I think that came out. So it did get a little pop here. I mean, I'm just going to give you the pre-market high and just tell you 498.60. So if you want a target on the upside, I would look. I mean, I watch this thing. It's just trades in $5 clips. But just look, keep an eye on the old-time closing high. Obviously, that was made yesterday, and it's right there right now, 484.47. So big jump in the last 2 days. Let's see if we can post a new all-time closing high today.
I mean, and question is, Novavax, let's say to the scenario, it gets its vaccine approved, which is probably going to happen here eventually. Is there a catch-up trade for Novavax? Like you just had the pullback 2 days ago, which would have been the opportunity. I wouldn't want to be short Novavax here.
I wouldn't want to be short any. You can't be short.
No, because the story is just COVID. It's in the media. It's there. But if you look at the market cap and you think, okay, here's Novavax with a market cap of 14 billion, and here's Moderna with a market cap of 200 billion. Is there a potential catch-up trade for Novavax? You're definitely buying, not the best of breed. Moderna is best of breed, at least in the COVID arena. But or you can say Pfizer and BioNTech too. But I mean, they get it approved. Could you see Novavax having a catch-up trade here? I could. I'd be a buyer of Novavax on pullbacks. And stopping yourself out. The worst case scenario for Novavax, scenario is that they don't get it approved. That's like they think a gap down 30% on you for whatever reason. They're like, no, it's not getting approved. So there is a risk, that it's hard to control and overnight because all of a sudden it comes out decision, we're not approving your vaccine. It's there is that risk there, but I kind of like the Novavax at 200 just because I've seen what Moderna has done.
Look at this. I mean, they're different companies, but look at the bid Lilly caught since the end of 2020. Right, we closed under or over 150 in December, and that thing just hit 250, and this is new all-time high territory for Pfizer. So not good, not the same company as Lilly, but I mean, if you don't think it can have a big move, take a look at that Lilly monthly chart. That's pretty awesome there. Have a little bit of Lilly.
I like Pfizer.
Not much. I do too. I mean,
you're not even like, what's the Pfizer PE? 10? Is it 10? Is it less? It says 19 on a trailing, but what is it on the forward basis? 10 or 11? 11. It's cheap. But pharmaceutical companies have been cheap, but Pfizer's got some growth because of the shots. So I mean, the huge growth is in BioNTech and Moderna.
There you go.
Because Pfizer is so big. But if you want a safer play at it, Pfizer's not just keeps grinding its way higher. So on pullbacks, get back down to like 44, maybe get a little relief pullback or a little profit taking. I think I'd be a buyer of Pfizer too. I own Pfizer already though.
Yep, so do I.
Wow, we just covered the whole space, and just in time to bring on our guest. We were talking about the video game sector last week on the heels of all the earnings reports. We had EA, Take-Two, Activision, and we were wondering what is going on. How can a space with such demographics in its favor be so out of favor right now? So with that in mind, I'm going to bring on JP Lee, product manager at VanEck. They've got the ESPO ETF, which, full disclosure, I am long. JP, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. How you doing?
Good. Help us understand what exactly is going on here, because I think we're all a little bit confused.
I think you got to set the stage. Go back to 2020. COVID happens. It's a breakout year in a lot of ways for video games. And there's a new benchmark, right? So 2020, in the middle of the year, everybody's looking at their 1 year look backs from 2019, and the growth revenues, the user revenues, the engagement was crazy, right? And you saw investor participation, our ESPO ETF and the underlying index up over 80% for the year. And there were other funds that are kind of in that zone of very high returns for 2020 in a breakout year. And by and large, those funds have not performed with the market this year, right? So ESPO's down a little bit for the year. S&P's up 20%. And I think it's important to set the stage too of going back to the beginning of the year, reopening trade, growth or value to growth switch. So, these names are definitely growth names. And I would make the broad argument that we're still in a very long-term supportive environment for video games. These companies as a basket are cheaper than the market right now, right? S&P and the Qs, NASDAQ, the PE, trailing PE is around 35. ESPO's trailing PE is around 30, right? So this is a high growth sector with long-term supportive trends. And I think we're just a little bit of a market dislocation right now. That's how I would describe it. And there's things going on, right? You've got China, right? China, and this a lot of these names are Chinese centric, right? Tencent, NetEase, Bilibili, and more. Really focused on China. China's been cracking down on the education, sector. I don't know if you guys talked about that in the last couple of weeks. They've taken steps towards kind of shifting the conversations for video games. I don't think that's the same thing as the education kind of crackdown. You got Activision. I mean, you've got problems at Activision from a toxic work environment perspective. Those problems also affected Ubisoft last year. So there's a lot of things going on right now, and it's not all the same for each company. But that's how I would set the stage.
What about the pipeline right now? What is the state of the pipeline for the major publishers at the moment?
So, I mean, from my perspective, solid, right? Okay, so Activision, work environment issues aside, they've got Call of Duty, right? And they've got Call of Duty Mobile, they've got Call of Duty Warzone. So do they need to launch another Call of Duty, right? Does Take-Two need to launch another Grand Theft Auto 5, right? That's kind of the question. I think that's how the video game market has shifted over the last 5-10 years, is that you don't need another Grand Theft Auto every year or another Call of Duty, 4v4 game every year, because the business strategy for these companies has shifted from a tent pole. We're going to launch this game once a year, and it's going to be this huge spike in revenues, and it's going to come down to, look, we're just going to try to keep this consistent subscription-based revenue. But pipeline Battlefield 2042 is coming out for EA at the end of the year. That's going to be a big game. So I think the pipeline story is not as important as it used to be, because these games are already literally churning out money. And it's more of like, okay, we're going to release the new content block, whether that's for GTA 5 or the new Call of Duty season or whatever it is. So that's how I'd answer that question.
So you're approaching this moment in time as just sort of a batten down the hatches type of thing.
Yeah, 100%. I think there's different things going on. Like the two on the top of my mind right now is the China thing and then just the Activision thing. But that's what's kind of holding things down. You look forward, what's the environment? We're coming up on Christmas season again, where people aren't going to be able to get their new Xbox or PlayStation 5 just like they did last year. It's the first time that's really happened. Where
Why not?
Because of the supply chain issues. I think Microsoft and Sony have both kind of indicated that there may still be issues of people getting the console that they want. And that now I'm not even talking about what that's going to do for Microsoft or Sony's bottom line. Let's think about what that means for market dynamics. What's the environment for people right now? They want to play games. There's so many people playing video games, and that story is just US centric. If you broaden the envelope and start looking at what's going on in the world, games like Garena Seafire, or Garena Free Fire from C, and others, there's huge demand for global games, especially on the mobile space in the developing world, right? People in the Philippines or Thailand or Malaysia or Brazil play video games differently than they do in the United States, right? In the US, most gamers are either going to buy an Xbox or PlayStation or buy a computer. They don't consider mobile gaming a real thing like they do in emerging markets, developing countries, right? mobile gaming in those countries is like there's professional esports teams. People really care. In the U.S. and the developed world, it's kind of like, okay, only grandmas play Candy Crush, right? It's not taken seriously. In the EM world, it's completely different, right? Because there's not that $300, $400 spend that you have to do to even start playing. Everybody's got a cell phone, and the EM is a little different, from a big picture perspective on how they use their mobile devices. They're ahead of us, right? So maybe the U.S. plays catch up on the mobile space.
Well, since you mentioned mobile, what about Zynga here?
Zynga, I don't have a Zynga view at this point other than to say they're beasts, right? And they're growing through M&A. And I think that's what a lot of the industry is starting to do. It's like, is it easier to grow a game from scratch and build it from scratch? Or is it easier to go out and buy a game, right? Or buy a developer publisher that's already doing a good job. And so that's an industry shift over the last few years, again, where it's like, look, I don't want to invest $50 million or $100 million into building this game from scratch and developing a community and getting, 30 million people playing the game every day. I'm just going to go buy it from somebody that's already doing it. So you see that with EA buying Glue Mobile. You see it, Zynga, the way I want to say the last thing they acquired was like a Turkish video game company. So, I mean, the story is global and the story is mobile. And then M&A activity is kind of geared around those hotspots.
When you look at these stocks, and they definitely were stay-at-home stocks for caught the bid for people. And I look at it. I know the demographics are from younger kids, probably. I mean, it goes up higher on the spectrum, but like eventually, like you're going to have full school sports back, and you're going to have after school activities, and you're going to have oldie, because I look at that the younger generation on that. Could it just be that the pandemic was just just the perfect timing for these stocks, and this is as good as it gets. They may just like muddle around, but when people have the ability to do other things, like I can't. I'm looking at my phone here, and I just can't. That's just me, because I'm an old man, and people are going to make fun of me. But I mean, how much time do you spend per day on your phone doing these games?
Well, I mean, again, I'm a US guy, so I don't play mobile games seriously. I play Xbox. I play my Xbox on the weekends. I'm
Let him make fun of me, Chad, but
no, it's fine. I mean, but that's the thing too, and I think there's a misconception, right? And this is what we do: is we educate. We talk about like what people think versus what the numbers actually show. And the numbers are average gamers are 30 years old, right? And there's a lot of energy around younger people, playing Fortnite when they're 15 years old, or, there's these stories of, well, my kid ran up $1,000 bill on Fortnite and I had to call the company and blah, blah, blah. But the reality is the majority of people playing these games are adults, right? And people are playing video games into adulthood. I play video games. I'm 38 years old, and I'm not the only person in my age group that I work with. For example, like my work friends, we all play video games, right? And so that, I think, is something to say right off the bat. And then the second thing is going back to demographics. Think about my niece who's 3 years old today. She's going to be playing video games in 3 years, and my brother's going to be paying for her video, whatever she's buying. And she's going to be playing video games until she's 20, and all of her friends are going to be playing video games, and they're going to go to the Fortnite Ariana Grande concert, And so there's just like how we're on our phones all day and we're on our computers for 12, 15 hours a day now. People are going to be playing video games. It's a more integrated part of their life than it was 10 years ago. So the technology is much better now. And so I know we're the best it's ever been. Everybody's playing video games. It's never going to get better. And where are these companies going to go? And
I stand corrected. What about this Apple Epic Game Battle? Do you have any take on that?
Great question. Yeah,
That's a good question. I guess I'll just say is that that whole argument is striking to the core of what is going on in the video game world, which is the platforms have so much power and control over the content and the user base, right? So that is specific to the Apple experience. But, Microsoft Xbox Store, they charge 25, 30%. Steam, which is where people download the games on the PC, they charge 30%. So that's kind of like an industry-wide accepted, look, if you want to sell your games on my platform, you're giving me a 20 to 30% cut. That's just how it is, right? So Whether that's going to rewrite the whole rules of not only the video game ecosystem, but the mobile app ecosystem remains to be seen. I'm not a lawyer. It's great to see a lot of the inside baseball stuff that's come out, in the Discovery and like all the different, Tim Cook's emails to, Sweeney's emails to Tim Cook and vice versa. So to me, it's a nice case of inside baseball. Be interested to see what happens, but I don't really have a dog in that fight.
And what about Roblox?
That's
Roblox.
what I was going to ask. Same thing. Roblox.
Yeah, Roblox.
So yeah, Roblox is, in my opinion, like this next gen like ecosystem that mirrors Fortnite, where you got a ton of young users, and so all that stuff I said about these are 30-year-olds playing video games. That's not true for Roblox, right? The average Roblox user is like 10 to 15 years old. But what's important to me on that one is it's creator economy, right? Like these are people who are getting into the game, they're playing the game, and then they're building things, and they're being allowed to participate in the economic success of the game, right? Because I build a game and then I can somehow sell it and monetize it within the game. That's very interesting, and kind of shifting towards the creator economy, Twitch kind of ecosystem. But I just think the power of that user base is huge. And the trick for Roblox is getting a 10-year-old to play until he's 20, or figuring out a way to get a 20-year-old to play a game that everybody thinks is for 10-year-olds, right? And so if I'm 20 years old and I'm hanging out with my buddies, am I going to play Roblox or am I going to play Call of Duty, right? It's pretty obvious which game I'm going to play. So they've either got to keep the kids playing now until, for 10 years. They've got to bring in older people, or they have to, make sure that my nieces, the 3 to 5-year-olds, are primed up and ready to start playing in the next couple of years. So it's a cool company and very interesting. It touches on a lot of cool themes.
JP, got one from the chat here. I don't know if you can answer this. Can you ask JP about the demand in coding companies hiring gamers? Would like to hear his opinion.
Anecdotally, I mean, it's there. Anecdotally, I think the tools are there for younger people today, like people who are watching this stream, to go out there and learn things on your own, right? And that goes back, we're we're in the process of decentralizing our economy in a lot of ways. And so it's really up to the individual, people out there who, if you're interested in coding, you want to, try to get a job at Activision, there's no better time, you're in the best time alive right now, because you've got the tools, and, all you have to do is watch a couple YouTube videos and you're off and running, start building games. And in a lot of ways, this new economy there's more. Yeah, it's great to have a coding degree and to be have this great credentialed prestige, but it's also great to have hands-on experience of, hey, I built this game and I launched it on the app. And so that's a very exciting time to be alive, in my opinion, for young people today. So if you're interested in it, just go out there and do it, watch some YouTube videos and get it done.
JP Lee is a product manager at VanEck. They've got the esports ETF, ESPO. JP, great stuff, man. Thanks a lot for coming on.
Hey guys, thanks a lot for having me. I appreciate it.
I hope he was able to make some people. He made me feel a little better about the space. He made me feel a little better. I'm not.
Where did we come out on the poll? I saw you did a poll there.
222.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, I haven't checked.
Do you play video games? It's 50-50.
I did that. 50-50. Can you believe it? Literally
right on 50-50.
225 votes, and it's split.
That's the last 2 minutes, 5 minutes. Yeah, 50-50.
I mean, yeah, I was playing Sunday night. I was playing with a buddy of mine. I was playing on my Switch. So
I do not. We're boomers, Joel. So
we're older.
I played video games when I played video games till I was 16. Then I got my license. I never played a video game again. So I guess I play a video game for a living, though. My trading is kind of like a video game. So
that's true.
I guess that's kind of like a video game. So I get my video gaming through my trading.
Yeah, there we go.
But I'm a believer in the video game industry. So the only one I own still is Take-Two. I want to own Activision. I want to rebuy my Zynga. I kind of want to buy Roblox. I want EA. I want to rebuy all these things. They're out of favor, though. And like I said, they haven't given me a signal that they've stopped going down here yet. So I don't like to be, catch the first falling knife. I like to know that it's stable. I like to know that I have an out. And, I like to know that, controlling my risk to a certain extent. Would I like to own Zynga at $8? Yeah, but I haven't been given the sign that the coast is clear and this has stopped going down. Roblox put nice support down here in this whole 80 area. And I think eventually it does see $100. I do think Roblox eventually sees $100 again. Valuation is at extreme, maybe, but it's still got the story. I think RBLX is going to be a triple-digit stock. I just haven't, it was a nice candle yesterday. Let's see if it can hold up with that. It's interesting.
The last video game I played was pinball.
Wow.
And you
Okay,
can't,
Boomer.
tilt,
We're moving away from
boom,
your
boom,
pinball.
boom. You could tilt, boom, boom. Most
No, I
of
know.
the
I like
flippers
pinball
won't
too.
work.
I like the
I
pinball
know,
machines.
I know. And you used to be able to jam that thing in there and
Yeah, Joel would cheat.
no,
sure.
not cheat. It would be tilt. If you get a tilt, man, then you stick another quarter in or whatever. But I don't know. I mean, someone made a comment like, "Look at Joel." I mean, if this is what people want to do and this is what they enjoy doing, then go ahead and do
Do
it.
it.
Yep, just do it. Let's
There's a
move
lot of
on.
people that like video games. I believe in the industry.
Yep.
And I would own some of these, and I do own Take-Two, and I would like to own more.
Okay.
For those of you keeping up with AMC, Jim Chanos said he's got a piece this morning on CNBC, and Cinemark, which we didn't talk about, CNK.
He's long AMC?
Yes, and then CNK is
He's
up.
long. He's
long.
long.
Why is Chanos long AMC? What did he say?
He likes the fact that the CEO is aligned with the company. He hasn't sold any shares yet. He's bullish. I'm sure he's going to control his risk somehow. I'm sure he bought.
That's a big vote of confidence.
Or sold puts or something, but I don't know.
That's a
He
big
went
vote of
to
confidence.
he went to Birmingham Groves High School. Did you know that, Spencer?
I did not know.
Yeah.
CNK. Look at CNK's having a
That's
morning.
not a look good. That's not a good looking chart, but it
Okay.
did just get a little bit of a pop up 40 cents. But trend is not your friend in that one. If you're trading AMC from the long side, do not look at the CNK chart.
What about your stock, Dennis? Triple D is up a great deal this morning on their earnings report yesterday. 12 cents EPS versus a 5-cent estimate. Sales of 162 million versus 143 million. So a nice beat for 3D last night.
Nice breakout over 30. Let's see if it can hold. You got this ugly head and shoulders thing happening. You're kind of still in the right part of the sloppy right shoulder. So the chart isn't fantastic. SSYS, I always like to look at it as well. Looks quite a bit different, actually, SSYS. I've always thought Stratasys was more of the leader than DDD. I don't know. I'm a believer in 3D technology. I've always said Hewlett Packard was the way I want to play it. HPQ, it's a little bit safer way to play it. I do think HPQ is eventually the leader in 3D printing. But the chart looks okay on DDD.
No man's land for Triple D here. You're moving up into an area of limited support or limited resistance. 32.39 is your pre-market high. I'm trying to lean on my dailies here. There's nothing. If you really think this thing's gonna jam today, got another $5 in it. 35.98 was your July 12th high, and that ended up being a bad day in the issue. Closed down $3 that day. So a lot of air in this thing.
I'm sorry, I totally butchered that. What I read was Jim Chanos says we have a small position. What he actually said was we have a small put position in AMC. So
he's not
well, there you go, Spencer.
I couldn't understand why Chanos would be long AMC.
I'm
but-
There you go, Spencer.
I skipped a word in that.
All right, so Chanos is not long AMC. He's actually bearish. He owns puts in AMC.
All right, I stink.
Again, it's you can trade it. I trade AMC against GME. There's kind of a nice pairs relationship there. If you look at the two charts and stick them on top of each other, they look pretty similar. So I actually do trade these all the time, AMC versus GME. But that is they're not touching the long-term portfolio. I'm not investing in these companies. I'm not a hodler of the stock. I'm not an ape. Because it doesn't make any sense. But as technical trading. And, you can put any trades on, and there's a relationship there between AMC and GME. AMC is going higher today. GME is up $3, not because of GME. It's up because of AMC. So you got to respect those relationships.
Here's one we were just asked about in the chat, which we haven't looked at for quite some time. You guys looked at Garmin recently?
No.
You should.
Wow.
You know who's let's see. This will be taking
That's a
look
company
at it.
that just reinvented itself and figured out stuff. Like you think about, you go to your Garmin and you had your little handheld GPS years ago, and this was, the future. And, they figured it out because obviously everybody, came into their arena, but Garmin does so many other things now. So company management that was in something like they were like a one-trick pony if you go back to a decade ago, and they created more tricks. Management teams been firing on all cylinders, and they've created a lot of products despite everybody coming in and and the competition intensifying in their original product. So, congratulations to the management. They've done everything right.
And we're going to have a guest on Friday that talked about this stock for a couple years that he really liked it. Do you remember who that is, Spencer Israel? Been bullish this stock. I remember talking to this when it was in the 60s and the 70s with him.
He always gives us these really impossible questions to answer.
No, it's not impossible.
No, he's right. Ivan Feinseth has been.
Oh, it's Ivan.
I do remember. I actually do. Now that you mention it, I do remember that. Ivan's been bullish this stock for a while. So,
and I should have gotten a Garmin instead of my Apple iWatch. I'm regretting that a little bit now.
A lot of runners use the Garmin.
Yeah, like the thing is, like when you're swimming with the Apple iWatch, it doesn't measure when you're kicking. I mean, it just need the old-fashioned pace clock on the wall. I don't need that fancy watch to go swimming. But anyways, we got 3 minutes left here. Just a really quiet market in here, Dennis. The dog days of August are just, I mean, we're quiet. We've been in like a 15-point range. This is going on the third day now. Can we expect that up to perhaps a Labor Day rally?
Yeah, you're right. In the dog days of August, this is historically one of the most quiet times. If you're buying calls and puts on the market, you don't usually see outsized moves in August. You usually see them in September when the traders all get back. Volatility has been coming in. So I'd expect just more, chop, fade trade working. It's going to be some movers in individual stocks, but for the most part, we're just kind of, the regular grind. You're not going to see outsized moves when, a lot of traders are on vacation. So I went on vacation, a week and a half ago. So, it's typical that the dog days of August and trading are real, and you're going to see quiet trading here for probably until we get to September, unless there's some major political event or Delta starts to pick up. I don't see a real big S&P imminent move happening in either direction.
Okay. All right. I'm going to hop off here just a couple minutes early. Got some friends in town here, some relatives. So I'm going to go say hi to them. I'm going to hop on Pre-Market Prep Plus at 9 a.m. and get all these symbols that we missed today. And Spencer, I'll track you down after the open. Triple D, go get them.
I hope there's a bunch of tickers we didn't get to.
I can do a couple quick. And then obviously Joel does ticker time over at premarketprep.com every day from 9 to 9:30. So if you want to continue on the ticker time, premarketprep.com. But let's go. I'll do a couple right now.
Did you look at Metro Mile this morning? It's your big loser. One of your big losers, down 21% here on their earnings report last night. 33-cent loss versus a 30-cent loss estimate. This is ticker MILE. Sales 28 million versus a 13 million estimate. So mixed report. I'll get the chart up here.
Stocks making new all-time lows. You got to go. I never want to own a stock making a new all-time low, and that's what's happening with MILE. So nope, not interested. ASTR, they're all preaching it at me. Astrospace. I've looked at that a couple of times.
I thought you were gonna buy that.
ASTR. Did we talk about it?
Yeah, maybe that was Joel. Someone said maybe it was Mitch.
I know we've looked at it. What a move there 3 days ago. What was the big move? May 37, 1172. What was that move all about?
It got this contract. Yeah. So
and now you're breaking out. You're trying to get above that candle. That's good news. I mean, chart actually looks okay on this thing. I don't know anything about the company though, so I'll probably laying off of it. But just from a technical basis here, you're getting up over that 12, which was the high from the day when it broke out was 1172. You're back up above that now. You're breaking out. You probably got room to 14. I think there's room to 14 on this.
All right, let's just follow up on DraftKings and Penn, since they both have had some deals in the last couple of days. Who was it that just dropped someone just dropped it in the chat, Bilger, DraftKings. So, yeah, I mean, we're quiet this morning.
You got risk arbs in here now too, so that actually tightens the trading up to a certain extent. You've got people. I traded 3 or 4 times yesterday the GNOG versus the DKNG. So obviously there was some money to be made. The spread came in very quickly in the pre-market. It's blown out to a certain extent here again. It's not crazy blowout, but I think it's 8%, 9%. That's probably a typical discount. So, but if it gets back down and starts to blow out again, I trade it again. So I'm trading those two stocks against each other. So what happens is that obviously holds DKNG down. If GNOG, which got downgraded today, is pulling back in, DKNG has a rough time going up because people buy the GNOG and short the DKNG. So, it's tough for, when you start getting the major risk arb action happening, which you're seeing already. GNOG's volume, 123,000 shares this morning. It actually tightens up volatility on the leader, believe it or not. So
this is interesting from Chris Catchy in the chat. Did not know this. Thank you, Chris. DraftKings NFTs launch tomorrow.
Okay, cool.
That could be
a catalyst. My volume on DraftKings and GNOG will be going up because of this deal. I love this deal. I did sell my GNOG too in the long-term account. I rang the register. Somebody was asking me that.
Figured you would.
Yeah, it was a 50% gift overnight. I rang the register, so I'm out. So I don't have the investment in GNOG anymore. But again, I still trade these. I'm going to be trading these two stocks actively.
And then someone's asked about Smile Direct Club. Man, this is not good. So they were blaming everything under the sun for their bad quarter. They blamed, remember they had that cyber attack a few months ago. They blamed that. They blamed COVID.
What a mess.
They basically blamed everything for their bad quarter. They lost 14 cents a share versus a 10-cent loss estimate. Sales came in well below the estimate. 174 million is what they had. 198 million was the estimate. Their guidance for the sales for the rest of the year was well lower as well. And they were blaming, like I said, everything. They blamed the hack. They blamed COVID. It's not pretty.
Stock is a mess. $4 is where we got down to back during the COVID lows. It's crazy to think about the moves that stocks have had, and this stock might actually challenge that eventually, that $4 level. So you're $5.50, you're in the middle of nowhere. 4 is huge support. That's $1.50 lower than here. You're not getting there today, I don't think. But if it was to get down that area, that's an interesting level. But that's all I can really give you, the 4 level.
Just brutal.
Yeah, I don't want to own it. Not $5.50 in the middle of nowhere.
And if you want to go back and look, I mean, look what it did on IPO day. That big red candle, that was his first day. That was a sign. Maybe.
It's just been a dog. And it's how these pops on short squeezes. Remember, it was a short squeeze stock. It had a high short interest. And back in June, it got the pop. And we go back to January, it got a big pop. Those were all, short squeeze. Well, you know who ended up getting squeezed? The longs.
It's also like, if you're short, like why you short a $5 stock? So we can.
I don't like shorting. That's another good point. I don't like shorting $5 stocks. Some people say, well, $5, it's just about market cap anyways. But lower price stocks, do have these, pops. So I don't. Once stocks start getting under $5, I hate shorting $5 stocks.
Yeah. Okay, Dennis, it's 9:03. Kept you a few minutes long. Thanks for hanging out with me, and we will see you tomorrow morning.
Sounds good. Have a great day, everyone.
Guys, there are so many tickers that we did not get to in chat. I apologize. There are some good ones here. You know what, Alex? I've also been wanting to look at Walmart for the past couple of days because we haven't talked about it for a while on this show. So I'm glad you brought that up. But yeah, I know there was a Taco Alt mentioned that. We got Guild, GILD, CRCT, Coop. I know. I'm sorry. I try to get to more of these, but every day seems like we run out of time. That being said, I'll just hang out with you all for a few minutes so we can just hang out, me and you. But if you want to ask David Green your questions, he'll be going live at 9:25 today, and you can ask him, and he will give you his thoughts on the setup for day trade today. Day trade only. He typically he does long-term stuff, but typically what he's doing every morning is the short-term intraday trading. So if you're looking for like a short-term setup, he's your guy. Unless you stumble upon a ticker that he happens to like long-term. In which case, great. But if you're looking for a day trade setup, then David Green is your guy. He'll be going live at 9:25. Before I proceed, before I forget, I want to do a real quick crypto update here. We want to do these every day, if we can, 3 times a day. Someone said it in the chat. Cardano ADA is your crypto of the day. So far, up 8%. Litecoin also up 7.5%. Oh, look at ICP. I didn't notice that before. ICP is up more than 12.5% this morning. Those are your big winners. Bitcoin, ETH hanging out solidly in green territory, but not by as much. Ethereum's up 1.4%. Bitcoin's up about 0.5%. Ethereum Classic is your loser, and frankly, who wants to own Ethereum Classic anyway? So, $59. Nobody wants to own that. So anyway, more green on the screen in Bitcoin in crypto land, and that's the story here. With crypto, I'm curious if anyone's been buying more. I do want to know if is anyone buying more crypto at the moment, and what are you buying? Because I've been looking to increase my exposure, but I'm open to possibilities. I only own Bitcoin and ETH. I could be open to more. Drop me your ticker in the chat why you own it, and I'd be very curious to hear. The Benzinga crypto updates brought to you by Voyager. Get $50 in free Bitcoin when you use the code ZING on Voyager. Deposit at least $100 and make your first trade with over 60 assets to choose from and annual yield earnings of up to 12%. Voyager is your launch pad into the world of crypto. Link is in description. The link to the Voyager offer is in the description of this video. Check it out. Okay, I guess I'm wrong on ETC. A lot of people want to own it apparently. How is Shiba Inu doing? Oh, good question. I hope we have that data in the Pro. We should have that data in the Pro. Let me hop on over to my Benzinga Pro, pro.benzinga.com. Pretty sure we have Shiba Inu. No, I don't think we. No, we don't. Bummer. That means I'll have to go to good old CoinMarketCap. I haven't looked at Shiba for a hot second. Let's just pull it up, mostly because I'm curious. All right. Consolidation station. Let me get a chart up on there so we can see. Yeah. Consolidation station. I mean, as much as you can say it. Oh, man. I can never take these seriously. These fractions of a penny coins. Can't do it. Oh, so this is what you don't want to see, right? Look at the volume. That's what you don't want to see. Volume just collapse. Yeah, wow. I haven't looked at that for a while. Thanks for putting that on my radar. All right, I'm seeing ICP, Cosmos, ATOM. Oh, man. Okay. Interesting ideas. Robinhood. I'll pass, Trent, on Robinhood. How is Hood doing this morning? Try to look at it once a day just to, keep up with the times, keep up with the kids. What is it up to this morning? Nothing. Literally nothing. Okay. Super quiet. No, I'll take a look at ICP. Polkadot's going to be huge, Shizzy says. Okay. You know what I got to do? I got to write this stuff down because I know I won't remember anything that you all tell me. So hold on. Let me write this down right now. Polkadot. All right. ICP. I need to do my own research, obviously. Do your own research. Writing that guy down. What else we got? I think that's it. Safe Moon? Fine. All right. Those are the four. I'll take a look at all those. What did we miss? Let's go to the movers tool. Look at our top gainers, top losers of the morning. FULC is my number one gainer. Fulcrum Therapeutics. They must have had some news, I bet. Oh, it was actually earnings. Oh, no, it was earnings plus it was positive phase 1 data. So FULC is your big gainer of the morning, up 60%. Looks like their candidate for inherited blood disorders shows the proof of mechanism. Again, that's a phase 1 study, so a long way to go on that. Lightning E-Motors, ZEV, having itself a morning, up 57%. They signed a multi-year contract with Forest River for their zero-emission bus technology, charging products and services. Deal valued at up to $800. Keyword there is up to, right? But $850 million nonetheless. So, wow, let's look at ZEV this morning. ZEV. Holy, okay. $10. Very nice. Congrats to everyone who held this entire time on the way down. We are back up above par in ZEV. All right. We're back up above $10. It's an important level, at least psychological. Fisker, we talked about. ARCT, they had some more news as well. ORMP, another big gainer this morning. And yeah, 3D we talked about. AMC we talked about. A lot of these are just smaller biotech plays. Big losers. I'm looking at KPLT number one on my scanner this morning. My movers tool and Benzinga Pro. Catapult Holdings. We have a headline. Earnings. Okay. Metro Mile we discussed. ID, Parts ID is down 18%. SDC we discussed. Oh, Squarespace. See, Squarespace was interesting, right? Let's talk about Squarespace for a second because this was a good report. That EPS number is not comparable, right? But the sales beat. And the Q3 sales guidance was in line. The fiscal year sales guidance was also in line. But again, this is a work from home play, right? Stay in home play. But Squarespace fits in the camp as like, can they possibly maintain the growth rate of the last year and a half? Probably not. Right? Probably not. And I think those guidance numbers also implied slower growth than the prior quarters. But I mean, I think it's a good business. It's just can they maintain that growth? There's no way. They probably said as much on the call, honestly. Right? This has been not a great IPO. What's the IPO price on this? Just we got to have this on our radar because if we're gonna Adam Aaron's on it on CNBC if anybody cares. Squarespace opened at 48. Why don't we have? That's annoying. Okay. Well, we're below that now. We're going to be at an all-time low here this morning, so not great. Where will Moderna stop, Saeed? That's the question, isn't it? I should close. We should all just close our eyes and buy Moderna together. I've been saying that for like 3 weeks, and I haven't done jack about it. Maybe I'll take like $1,000 and buy 2 shares of Moderna. I don't know. I really don't. The FOMO is real, guys. The FOMO is real. Let me catch up on the chat. Fisker, Syed, we rewind the show about 40, 50 minutes. We talked about Fisker already. More cryptos being dropped. Okay, let me write them all down. Token. Catching up on my chat. What'd I miss? Elconin? I don't never even heard of that, but all right. By the way, guys, we will be covering. If you are super into the crypto altcoin DeFi space, we've got 2 shows dedicated to that. Moon or Bust airs Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 2:00 Eastern time, and then the Roadmap is our new NFT show that it was going to air today at 3:00 Eastern time. Speaking of today, here's the plan. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to get this show's going to end right. Normal pre-market prep. We got David Green, normal David Green until 11:00. SPACs Tack normal till noon Eastern time. After SPACs, we're going to do Power Hour, but we're going to do our afternoon block all in the same stream. So Power Hour, Get Technical, Crypto Show, Biotech Buzz. The Roadmap at the close, and Money Mitch and Cannabis Insider. Everything from 12 to 5 is going to go one long stream. We're experimenting, seeing what happens. We got some good feedback on what we did last Thursday, so we're going to try it again today. So usual shows, all normal shows, but one long stream, 12 to 5 p.m. Eastern time. That's the plan for the day. I'm new to investing. Any ideas? James Martin. That's a big question. That's a heavy question, James. I think if I could go back and start over, what I would do is, and this is I've thought this is generally good advice, is pick a company that you know, that you've heard of, that you use, that you're a customer of, that you like, a brand that you like, right? And take a little bit of money that you can afford to lose, right? And buy that stock, whatever it is, doesn't matter as long as it's a brand that you know and you're a customer or a user of. Buy that stock and use that as your entry into the stock market, right? And understand why stocks go up versus why they go down. With a business that you know. Not, don't pick some random company that you've never heard of before. Pick one that you know and use that. Take a small amount of money and use that as your entry. That's probably what the best advice that I would give to someone who's just starting out. My other serious advice would be make your first purchase a broad index fund like SPY or VOO, and then go from there. That would be my my other serious advice for you. But I do think it's a good idea to pick a stock, pick a company that you know, that you understand, and you know their business. Buy that stock, and then that will help you. If you want, you can always get James a free 2-week trial of Benzinga Pro. This is our research platform, pro.benzinga.com. Free 2-week trial for everyone. Link up on the screen, pro.benzinga.com. I also want to mention, and I mentioned this last week, if by chance you also listen to this show via podcast and you've always listened to the show via SoundCloud, our show is basically no longer on SoundCloud because SoundCloud sucks. But what you can do, and I'll show you where you can find all of our podcasts. If you listen to this, whether it's this show or it's any of our other shows that are available as podcast, here is where you go. Benzinga.com/podcasts. That's it. Benzinga.com/podcast. All of our podcasts are available on this page. Raz Report, all of our shows, the Ring the Bell show that Aaron Bree and I do, Money Mitch, his watch list that he does every morning. Benzinga.com/podcast. PreMarket Prep is here as well. Right there. Again, benzinga.com/podcast. Good old public service announcement. So yeah, any new investors, again, Benzinga Pro is, it's free for 2 weeks, and you can talk to our team. You can have them help you, and if it's not for you after that, then it's not for you after that. That's fine. What is the difference between the Webull scanner and the Benzinga scanner? Oh man, and also listen to the show. Obviously, listen to the show. I don't know because I don't use the Webull scanner, so I don't know. Can't help you there. Nature Bound says there's too many variables for a responsible answer to that question. No, I think my answer is like pretty even keel, right? I think that's fair advice to someone who's totally new. Pick a stock you know, or a company that you know, and buy it, and then just observe it, right? The point is not to make money on your first trade. The point is to learn. I think it's reasonable. That's what I would tell my kids, right? If I had them, is pick a stock that you know and buy it, and you and I will buy it together and we'll watch it. I think that's pretty safe. Again, with the money you can afford to lose in the first place. If you can't afford to invest, if you're barely paying your bills, then you can't afford to invest. Then don't do it, right? Only invest what you can afford to lose. Think of it like a personal finance ladder, right? You got to pay your bills first, get to pay down your debt second, invest third. Not everyone can afford to invest, and that's fine. Okay, it is 9:19. Yeah, paper trading is a good idea too. That seems to be like a dividing thing. Some people think paper trading is not good because you got no skin in the game, but others think it's really good. I'm more of the latter. I would advise paper trading to start out, but there's no real right way. It's whatever you feel is right. Anyway, okay. It is 9:20. James, you have no debt? Great. If you have no debt and you can afford it and you're paying all your bills, then yes, you should be investing. Seriously. But understand the difference between investing and trading, right? This show that you're watching is mostly, not all the time, but mostly a trading focused show. I am definitely more of a long-term investor and have thoughts on that. But those other guys, Joel and Dennis, have more thoughts on day trading. Okay. I think start a Roth IRA and trade in it. That is not a good idea, theater guy. But seriously, you should if you don't have any retirement accounts, this is a general PSA. If you don't have a retirement account, a tax managed account, get one. Okay. 401k, Roth IRA, whatever the equivalent is in whatever your country you're in, get that. Okay? Make that the first thing that you do. Retirement accounts first. Brokerage accounts second. I'm amending my advice. That's my step one. If you have a 401k through your employer, get that. Absolutely. If they have a match, it's free money for you. Where is Triple D? He gone, man. He gone for the day. And I'm going to be gone as well in like a minute. I'm going to wrap it up and David Green's going to go live. So this stream will end and it will redirect to David Green, who's going live in like 4 minutes. Okay. That being said, please remember that all the information from our show is meant to be used as informational purposes and not for investing or trading advice. Thanks to our guest. I hope you guys liked him, JP Lee. I'm trying to get new blood on the show all the time, and got some good feedback from that. Seemed like you guys liked him. I like JP. I think he's great. He's obviously bullish gaming, right? That's his thing. I don't expect him to not be bullish. I expect him to be able to explain why the industry is getting hammered right now, and I think he did that. So JP is a product manager at VanEck, and I thought he was great. So thanks to JP for joining us today on the show. Thanks to all of you in the chat. Without you, it would be way less fun, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're watching us on Twitch, whether you're watching us on Twitter, whether you're in the Benzinga.com chat, whether you're in the Benzinga Pro chat. It's all good, man. It's all good. All right. Yes, Christian, we can get Marcus back. I am trying to get Marcus back. I really am. I'm not messing with you. We have an email chain going. He was gone for a month. He's back. I've emailed him. I'm working on it. I too want an update on Ride. It's not just you. Okay. I'm trying to get him back. I swear. Okay. I'm done. David Green's going live in like a minute. Let me make sure he's ready to go. Because yesterday he got a late start and that pissed me off. So I'm not going to leave actually until I know he's good to go. Because I don't want him to be late again. Got to text Bruce Raby about that. Adding more. How is AMC doing? Haven't looked at AMC in what? Half hour? That's a long time. Let's just take a look real fast. You want to see it hold the want to see it hold that pre-market high, which is what? 38 and a quarter. I want to see it break that. It's unquestionably an amazing overnight session for AMC. And that call, by the way, was, if you knew nothing about the macro environment of AMC or the short squeeze or anything about anything, and you just listened to that call, you would have thought it was like the best quarter ever, because it was the most bullish call I think I've heard in quite some time. It was incredibly. They were so excited on that call, and I know part of that was like leading into the virality of the stock, but still, that was a extremely excitable phone call. They were all very happy and upbeat, very upbeat phone call. Okay, David Green's ready, which means I'm ending. Everyone, good luck today at the Open. Make some money. Stay green. See you guys later.